how do you see the insurance world being impacted by the natural disasters?
First thing to know is that every state operates, uniquely to itself. We all have our own insurance commissioners who all operate differently. And just because the fires are happening in California doesn't necessarily mean it's going to impact us here in Washington. Like, insurance companies have reinsurance, what's called reinsurance. So we basically have insurance for insurance companies. So I think that is the component that could impact us. In Washington, we're not experiencing what they're in Southern California, but like, we have wildfires in Eastern Washington. And so a common thing I hear is, well, that's in Eastern Washington. It doesn't happen here on the east side. Well, in general, we're still experiencing weather-related claims on like a historical level. And so even though we don't have wildfires, we have, look at the bomb cyclone we just had, like freezing temperatures or water claims. It's been historic level of losses after historic level of losses. All these insurance companies are ending up in the red if they just keep rating as they have for the past, few decades. And so we want insurance companies to be strong, because if they're not, we're not going to be covered like we need to.
Because the cost of everything that you and I pay for and our clients pay for has increased so much with inflation, everyone's looking for the best deals. But in the sense of insurance, you can't necessarily go off of the cheapest, right? What is your take on something like guaranteed replacement costs? Is that something that you feel is important? What would be your advice to clients, or how do you think of that?
So one of the first lines is called dwelling coverage, and how companies come up with how much coverage you need for that is we run a replacement cost estimator that helps us determine how much coverage you need to replace your home. If you are not, like, there are so many things to enter in that calculator. If you're not thorough in it, like, I could do my version of it and somebody next door could do their version, and we might be vastly different in what we come up with if we're not doing it correctly. So it is really important to have the right person look at that. And then I always make sure, once I get that number of coverage that my computer's telling me, I always take that, divide it by the square footage of the home. And my goal, just because building costs, I hear around $300 per foot. My goal is to always be at least close to that. And then I can tweak it and I can have a conversation with the client just to make sure they're comfortable. Guaranteed replacement cost is great because if I've done my job in getting that calculator to the correct value, guaranteed replacement cost says if it costs more than what that number is, you're guaranteed to be replaced no matter the cost. The kicker that a lot of people don't know is if you make any alterations to your home, say you upgrade the floors or you upgrade the cabinets, or you get a new roof, it's metal and not architectural shingle anymore or composite, you have to let your insurance company know those changes. Otherwise, they might not be covered. And so guaranteed replacement cost is a little bit more expensive. So I'm trying to watch the bottom line for people too. And I want them insured enough, but not over-insured. And so my goal is to first look at that dwelling number and see if it makes sense. And then instead of guaranteed replacement cost, I usually do an additional 50% because that's usually plenty. But some people like the peace of mind of guaranteed replacement cost too.
That's a great reminder. Just for myself thinking, I changed the roof from composite to metal roof. I added solar. My insurance company doesn't know that.
Solar panels, that's probably a $45,000, $50,000 investment. If they don't know about it, those aren't getting replaced. A lot of people, of course, we talk when people are buying homes, so they're starting a new policy, but even people who refinance or have been with a company for a long time. I was looking at somebody's policy just last week, and they haven't, shopped around for a long time. And when I ran my calculation, I think I was at, $750,000 for what was estimated for what the replacement cost would be. Their coverage with their current company was $500,000. So we kind of think that it automatically keeps up with what you need, but that's why you have to be checking on it regularly, because they'll increase it a little bit, but typically, the last few years have increased so much dramatically in costs that, it's really important to check that even if you haven't made updates.
It's a great reminder. And so if any improvements were made, to definitely check in with your insurance.
And even if not improvements, because the cost of everything has gone up just in general too.
Wow, great reminder.
Yeah.
So then the other question that I just received, and this is more relative to California is,
Sure.
I had to look at my own insurance policy. If something like a natural disaster happened, the house was completely decimated, how much am I liable for? Like, what's my contribution for the cost of rebuild? Is it all covered, or is there a portion that I'm going to have to cover?
I mean, my knowledge is like we cover for total losses here. Like that's all I'm aware of. And so your responsibility would be your deductible, and then the insurance company would cover the rest. Here in Washington, like you're going to have coverage for your home. As long as you have enough coverage, you would just be paying your deductible.
What is the claim history of the home?
Mm.
What was a recent surprise to me is how that claim history actually impacted a brand new owner. So my client's going
Mm.
to purchase, the home has already had some claims history, what that entails in your world.
Yeah, so insurance companies, whether it's home, auto, like there's so many different rating factors that go into rating for whether a property is eligible, and then not only whether it's eligible, what the premium is. But claims have always impacted eligibility and premium. And insurance companies they look at the person, but they look at the home, because if you think about it, that's what we're insuring. So if this home has had a water claim, statistically, it is more likely that it will have another claim, or, it had a roof claim. And so they've always looked at it, but because of the amount of claims that have been happening, they're just looking at it so much more carefully. And so, like for me right now, and this is many other companies, if the home has had a claim, we actually can't write it if there's been one claim in the last 5 years. And so I think it's smart to get on top of your insurance sooner rather than later so that you're not coming down to the wire, finding out there's a claim, and then getting stuck.
The dishwasher, the hose had bursted and it caused some water damage, so the homeowner claimed it. Uh, I like to think that that doesn't happen often, but for all the claims, when you mention it, like if one claim in 5 years disqualifies you, are you looking at the type of claims that they are, or is it just once it's a claim, that's it?
Yeah, it probably depends on the carrier. However, we all basically operate the same. And so for us right now, it is like I was quoting somebody last week, and somebody stole stuff out of their car, which is a home claim. It was a $1,500 claim, and that makes it ineligible. And that's not even on the home. Like it was on their stuff. So no, like for us, we're not looking at type of claim, amount of claim. It's a claim is a claim is a claim. And that speaks to like really knowing when to file a claim. I tell my clients, that is why you have an agent. Call us first, because while we're not claims adjusters and can tell you if it's covered or not, most likely we're going to have a good idea. And so we can really direct you in the right way to go. But, insurance is now like should be looked at as for catastrophic losses versus, minor claims.
I was growing up, I unfortunately had a heavy foot, got speeding tickets,
Mm-hmm.
and I tried to fight them. But if they stayed off your record, you're okay. But if one hit your record, it just crushed you, right? But then
Yeah.
now the thought process of anyone having any type of claims that then ends up under your home insurance is completely different. In the insurance world, do you see people getting dropped because they do have claims? Or I hear that, but I don't know if that's like just chatter, if that's reality.
Yeah, I haven't personally had any homeowners that have been dropped because of claims. We did do non-renewals, so there are certain zip codes that Farmers was just getting out of not writing, and it's just a moratorium, so it's not forever, but that's what a lot of companies are doing. No, I haven't had any people dropped because of claims, which is, I mean, I think Farmers is good in that way. We haven't operated like that. Again, companies are looking at everything to mitigate these huge losses.
Do you have, in your experience just recently, what is the number of people that aren't insurable, right? When they come to you and say, I need
Mm.
insurance, how many people, just as a ballpark, are you speaking with that are non-insurable? Let's say out of 10, maybe.
Yeah, honestly, Keith, it's crazy. I feel like 50% of the people I have been preparing quotes for haven't been eligible because of a claim. Yeah. And it's only because of claims. It's not because of anything else. It's because either they had a claim or the home had a claim.
Gotcha. And then I guess last question, Tenny, so people know if you're able to insure it, how much more does the claim history impact the premium of the policy?
Yeah, a surcharge is typically 20 to 30%. So, and again, that could be $1,000 claim. That could be a total loss where it was a $200,000 claim. It literally doesn't matter how much was paid out. It's still about a 20 to 30% increase. And then that stays on for probably 3 to 5 years. Again, every company is going to be different, but yeah, that's how long it stays on. I'm happy to be a resource anytime. Like, you do not have to be a client. Like, anytime there's questions, the insurance industry is so confusing. So literally anytime, just ask.